Hello traders. So had a few trades I wanted to go over today, starting with Tesla, which was a loser for me. So we had earnings dip and rally, right? And then moving up in the pre-market, back up again, and then flush down. So we had positive earnings reaction. And right on the open, as I started to look at this, I didn't, obviously, it was the beginning of the day. I didn't really realize yet that the market was going to basically get sucker punched today. So as soon as it got down to this level from the earnings reaction, I was interested. I thought I might try along there, but I didn't. I decided to just wait and see, what was going to happen to the moving averages here. And at that point, what were we, like a 30-second moving average rider probably down there? Not even. We were faster than that. But it managed to get above, but then came down below. So when I saw this lower low get set, I was like, all right, I need to make enough room for a higher low off of that. And it did move up, and it broke the 2-minute EMA 12 and with a close above, and then started to come back in. And so that to me was like a kind of a go signal for this thing to work. Let's show you what happened here. I'm going to compare it to QQQ. So here was the low that was set, and you can see the crosshairs, how they compare to what happened below. So here was the fresh low here, and at that time QQQ was heading a bit lower. We got our bounce in Tesla that got above the EMA and then started to come down, and we held this low here. And so my thought was that's probably going to be the higher low, and so I got long when we broke this prior bar high here. So when we had a little inside bar, and then we broke it bull, and I was long with the stop below low of day. And I thought there was a really good likelihood that was going to work. It was showing, it started to bounce below the Qs had done it, and it had that relative strength I was looking for. And as it started to finally get going, look what happened to the Qs right here. This thing just gave up and flushed and stopped me out when the Qs really started to accelerate to the downside. So sadly, this was a sized up trade for me because I was so confident that higher low was going to work, and it didn't. And we just went lower. And when I think about why this trade didn't work, what I'm really kind of kicking myself for is this isn't one of my setups that I trade. I mean, technically, we're not even looking at that point. We're not looking for a daily higher low. We're like, it could be a double bottom with this one, but it's sort of a bear flag on the daily time frame. So this isn't a bullish chart. It's not what I look for. And so I'm kind of upset with myself for sizing up on that trade because it really didn't meet the criteria to get sized up. So that's a disappointment, and the loss was quite large because it was a full stop for me. Didn't manage to get any risk off. So that's disappointing, and it sort of put a damper on the day. The next one was ATAI, which I've been watching on the daily time frame. It had this nice rally off the lows, and actually let's look at the weekly and the monthly. So yeah, monthly touch, and I was looking for the monthly higher low here to get long. This is a low liquidity name, and I knew that I was going to have pretty wide risk if I was going to take this trade, but I was counting on this being the monthly higher low right here. And on the weekly, that was it. We'd set it there and then had that nice rally off the daily time frame. So I was like, oh, got to get that higher low. And we had come down here on Monday, inside bar, tried to get below that level on Wednesday and failed to do it. And then this morning, we broke the prior bar high. Now this is a breakout trade. If you go to the 30. So here was the prior bar high that I was playing against. And I knew when I was entering, so let's go to the 5. I knew when I was entering on this breakout that it was probably going to pull back. And so I used smaller size than normal because I'm not a big breakout trader, especially not in this market. But I thought the likelihood was good that like this low from prior day was going to be that monthly higher low. And so that's where my risk was down here. And we broke out, we came back in, and we came, look at this flush look at the volume. It's just so weird. There's like massive spikes of volume. This is what a low liquidity name is like. And so I did stop out there, and so that was another full stop, but it was on smaller size. But you take those two combined, it was the Tesla loss and this loss, and it's probably the reddest day I've had in all year for sure. And at that point, I was thinking to myself, I should just really stop trading today because two big losses kind of sucks. But the market was dumping like crazy, so I did see other opportunities, and I wanted to try to get involved. So I did end up trading some more, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But before I do, I wanted to talk about Amazon. This was a trade I took earlier in the week, and I forgot to do the trade review on it because I was done so quickly. But when I saw the follow through today, I was really disappointed in myself on this trade. So I wanted to do a trade review and talk through what happened, because I made one of the mistakes. This is like my cardinal sin mistake, which is tightening a stop unnecessarily. I really need to stop doing this because when an opportunity like this is so good, I feel like I just have to trust it. I need to just really give it a chance to work, and I'll talk through what I did. Okay, so on the daily time frame, we had multiple touches on this rising support. We only had 2 touches on the descending support. If we had had 3, I probably would have been more likely to be less nervous, but because it was only 2 touches, and in my mind, a resistance isn't a resistance until you have 3. This could be the 3rd one happening as it was doing it that morning, and we were doing it on a gap up. So we'd been rallying up off this low into that resistance, and then we gapped up into it, which to me is a short every time. There's a well-known resistance. I can see it clearly on the chart. We're gapping up into it. Like, I just got to look for the top. So go down to the 5-minute, and it was over here. I didn't just short it when it hit that line. The line means nothing. I need the price action to tell me that there's a reversal happening. And so this is basically, in my mind, this is just balance. So we set a high, we set a low, and now we're trying to figure out what's going to happen with this balance. And so when we broke above the balance, now I know, like, if we're going to reject, it's going to be on the breakout of that balance. And so my short should be right there. So I was looking to get short here with a stop above high of day, which is right there. We go on to the 1-minute and show you how this played out. I think I must have been even tighter, because this doesn't make sense. I think I must have gotten short up here, and it wobbled, and it came, like, I got short, it wobbled around up here, it wobbled there, and I really doubted the trade, and so I ended up tightening my stop and getting stopped out, break even, and then the flush began. And I was sitting there watching it like, oh, it still could be a 5-minute inverse head and shoulders, right? I was like trying to find, like, reason my way back into taking another shot, but it just stair stepped down, just like completely flushed and fell over. And I was just tearing my hair out watching this thing go without me after I had stupidly had too tight a stop. And ultimately the thing that really got me here, and that I think about a lot when it comes to these kinds of trades, is this is a daily time frame trade, and I know my risk is going to be super tight up there, right? But I'm looking for it to get all the way back down here somewhere, right? Like maybe it zigzags all the way down, and somewhere over here before earnings, it like, yeah, you could see them dumping it into earnings, for example, right? That could be a thing. So let's say I'm betting on it getting down there. Look at my risk reward on this thing. If that was my entry, 68 to 1. 68 to 1. So why am I using massive size? If I'm looking for this to play out that big, why am I using such a big size that I'm nervous and tightening stops? Right? Like the logic of that just doesn't make sense. So my real trade review here is, when you're looking for a daily, an entry on a daily time frame trade, and you've got like a laser entry like that that's so good, why are you using such large size that you're nervous? There's no need. You can go totally small size. You go whatever size you feel 100% comfortable with. Go with the size that you're like, I don't even care if this stops me out. I don't care, because it's a 68 to 1 trade. Right? Like, it's just not worth stopping yourself out over something like that. It feels asinine to me. So this to me is my biggest failure on the week, this trade. I took a big loss on Tesla. Tesla was not a good setup. I took a loss on ATAI. ATAI was a breakout trade, and I'm not good at those. But Amazon, the gap up into resistance with a nice clear pattern to get short, and I stopped myself out. This is not acceptable. So I'm really, really upset about this one, and yeah, just very disappointed in myself. So this one is going in the memory bank. That the lesson learned here for me is size down. The whole point of finding these laser entries is that you don't need to put on such massive risk when you're playing for a higher time frame move. Get comfortable in the trade. Get the size that you feel comfortable in. Maybe push it a little bit, but don't go crazy, and then just let the thing work. Just put your stop where it's supposed to be and just let the thing work. Because I was not wrong. I was so right. I was so right here, and then to not be able to profit is killer. Okay, enough about that. Silver. I had a win on silver today. This is such a crazy chart. So I'm trading SLV, I'm not trading SI. That's why I'm looking at this chart instead of the futures chart. But we gapped up overnight, right? And so this is after having that crazy volume day. We retraced the whole move, and then we start flushing down today. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wait a second, what moving average is this thing riding? And I start cycling through them. I'm going, is it daily time frame? No, you're extended above it. Is it 12 hour? And I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, look. So this was daily down here, and then 12 hour, and then we were probably 4 hour in here, right? So this was 12. Here's the 4 hour touch, 4 hour touch, 4 hour touch, 4 hour touch. And this morning we break through the 4 hour. And so I'm like, well, wait, before we were 4 hour, we were 12 hour. So I'll bet you we're going to bounce at 12 hour. So that's what I'm thinking. And let me just fix this to 12 hour and go down to 30 minute. Here's the 12 hour coming up. We do touch it and we start to bounce. So I'm aware that this can totally work for the 12 hour bounce. Let me put this indicator back to the chart's time frame. So I'll go down to the 2 minute. What was happening here? We get the hard flush down, price accelerating away from the 2 minute moving average. That's a bottoming pattern. Like it just can't keep flushing forever. There's going to be a mean reversion at least. And as it starts to come back up, I realize this is a rising wedge, and I'm aware that on the 15 minute time frame, we've got 15 minute resistance that we're coming into. And so let me just change this to show the 15. Okay, so I see this rising wedge coming up into the 15 minute EMA 12, and I know that it's a rider from below, right? Like I know there's a good chance that this bounce is going to work on the 12 hour, but this is a nice flush. It's like the best shot the Bears have had since the last big move down. And I thought, maybe it'll be like a sort of look above and fail on the higher time frame, and we're actually going to flush from here. And so I thought 15 minute lower high is the best bet for that. And we do have a rising wedge coming into it. So this is a chance I want to take for a short. And so I'm watching this play out, and I see here on the 2 minute, so we have a high, higher high, and then we start to build out a higher low or a lower high. And I'm thinking, okay, this is my chance to get short. So I get short here, stop is up here. And again, I used bigger size on this trade because even though it's negating the higher time frame rider, I'm just aware that this is a climaxy situation, and I'm really hoping that I can get a trade on here that's going to work and short and get the big move down for silver. But as it starts to play out, I'm just watching the price action, and what do I see? So we get the break. I get in on actually this candle. My stop's up there. It comes down and it immediately bounces. Look at this one here. It does not follow through with the break lower. It bounces and sets a lower high and starts to come in deeper. But again, like here on this candle, this is a hammer candle here on the 2 minute on increased volume. So that tells me like and by the way, I'm sitting here watching the price action, and I could just see it tries to flush lower and gets pushed back up, tries it again, And so right here, when it pushed lower, and I'm aware that this was the last, I think this was a 5-minute higher low. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, this was a 5-minute higher low. I'm like, if we're going to have any chance of this thing getting short, like following through, it needs to break that 5-minute trend. And so I want it to get below that level. And it can't. It gets to that 101.70 spot and bounces again. And so I just took the entire trade off. I was like, no, they're not done. They're going back up. And I took the entire trade off. And it was actually a pretty good win for me because I'd used larger size. And so this was a nice knock against my 2 losses on the day, but did not come anywhere near erasing them. But it was just a nice little notch back in the right direction. So that was exciting for me. Then my trading partner points out APLD and CCJ. Now CCJ I've also been watching. So let's go back to look at CCJ. Is a 12-hour rider. So what do I mean by that? So here we are on the daily EMA 12. You can see this blue line here, the daily EMA 12, we're way above it, right? So what time frame is being ridden here? Here it is, the 12-hour. Since this breakout here, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, and now today it's touching again. And we had a nice solid flush off the morning. So let's go down to the smaller time frames. 15. Here you can see what I was seeing. 5. We were less than a 5-minute EMA rider. 2. Okay, so we're on the move down this morning, off the highs. Was it a gap up? Yes, it was a slight gap up, and into the gap up we moved down. So move down, set a lower high on the 2-minute, and we're basically riding the 2-minute EMA 12 down. And I'm aware as I'm looking at this that the slope of this move is 1, right? Like we're not, to me, the best trades that I look for is like a rounding bottom where you can see that it's going to start to turn and go back up, or a really sharp move down that gets sharper and sharper and sharper, and then there's a V shape out of it. And ultimately that's what this ended up looking like more than anything else, was the V shape move. But I was not confident in this trade actually working because of this slope of the trade. That's steady selling, and steady selling isn't really emotional. And so I wasn't sure that this was going to work at all. But the reason that I took the trade is because the whole market, QQQ, SPY, everything had been dumping. Let's just take a look at ES, for example. This is the stock market dumping, and Q, technology, dumping. And so when I see that type of action, I'm just aware that that is going to have an effect on other stocks. So if we go back to CCJ, look at this, and let's take a look at QQQ at the same time. Right here is where CCJ starts the bounce. Look what happens on QQQ. I was watching QQQ at the same time, also 2-minute EMA 12 rider, and right on this candle here, QQQ broke the 2-minute EMA 12 and closed above it. So I bought it there. And the premise here is like, I didn't love the fact that it was a slope of 1 coming down, but I figured that if the market is going to get some relief here, strong names, strong trending names like CCJ are going to continue their move up. So I bought there, I got risk-free on this bounce, and now I'm holding. And this trade, combined with the next one, have basically erased all my losses on the other ones from the morning, even though the other ones were bigger size. Okay, so that's CCJ. Now let's take a look at APLD. This was the same idea, but I really liked the way this was moving better, where we had a move down, move up, move down, move up. Like this is more of a nice oscillating thing. Go to the 5-minute. I could see it was a 5-minute rider, and at the same time that Qs were turning around, right here, this was actually moving up beforehand. So it had set this higher low and then broke it. So this one, I saw the bottom was being set, and then before the Qs even started to turn, it was starting to turn up. So I got long above that high with my stop below the low. And then I got risk-free on the bounce there. basically was my trade. So I got risk free here, and then it wobbled around for a long time. Didn't care too much because I had my risk off, and then it has been going up from there. And this trade combined with the CCJ trade was better. And now again, just zooming out, why is this a good spot to get long? Look at the daily time frame. Sorry, I should have started here. This has been strong moving up. This is the first test of daily EMA 12 after the setting a new high. This is a strong stock and in a nice uptrend. So, and showing relative strength compared to QQQ on the initial move on the 2-minute time frame. I was like, yeah, this one's it. So thank you to Tiffany for pointing those two out to me and getting me back on track, because those trades are great. Even if they end up stopping me out from here, this is what I look for, is trades at location. This is a daily EMA 12 setting with relative strength after the better than the QQQs, and CCJ on the 12-hour rider in a strong uptrending name after market weakness. Like, those are just banger, great location, great trades. Finally, wanted to close out the review here talking about the trades that I got stopped out of today. So I had previously done a trade view of Netflix. Well, Netflix set a daily lower high and then stopped me out today. So that trade didn't work. KTOS. This was disappointing. I thought this was going to be the weekly higher low, and because it was wedging in on the daily time frame, I got risk free over here, had a nice big rally. It came down yesterday and then stopped me out today. So that was disappointing. And then OKLO. I bought this one on the break of prior day high, and you can see my cost basis was high. I was chasing it a little bit. And so I just had a break-even stop on this one. You can see originally I was looking for it to do this move over here, right? I was looking for this higher low to be set down here and to get it, but it ran without me. And so I was trying to catch the ultimate higher low above here. And I thought that was going to be it yesterday, but it just had no follow through with the market weakness today. And now it's still heading down. So another one that did not work out. But I get into these positions, I get risk free, and then as to the best of my ability, and then end up getting stopped out. That's fine. It's fine. I don't mind getting into a position and then not losing any money because it didn't follow through. That's fine. It would suck if I was losing on all these trades, but like, these types of losses are A-okay by me. It's disappointing. It's sad. I thought this was going to go back up there and be a real banger, but it's fine. I don't care. I'll live to trade another day. It's the trades like Tesla where the location was bad and the size was wrong. And then Amazon, where the location is amazing, but I make a mistake. Or ATAI, where it's a breakout in a low volume name, where I know the likelihood is not great for the follow through. Like, those three trades, those I got to avoid. And so that's why I'm giving this review, because if I eliminate those kinds of trades from my system, I will do very, very well. So, okay. Great review. Lots to go over today, but I hope it was well worth the time. Have a great week and happy trading.